It is time for our March monthly weather roundup. I'm Joe Martucci. He's New Jersey State climatologist Dr. Dave Robinson. March not as exciting as the previous 3 months. I thought maybe, well, let's say it this way. I ended the last episode saying, who knows, maybe the last week of the month we'll have another snowstorm to talk about. Alas, we did not get our snow, much to your dismay and even mine too, but I'm done with snow after March 17th.
31st of March and the 1st of April is the anniversary of a 1997 snowstorm that dumped over 2 feet of snow up at High Point. And Boston had over 2 feet of snow from that event as well. I don't know how much, definitely got down into coastal Jersey, certainly into Monmouth County, multiple inches of snow, but it was a big event. So it can still happen, and not very often.
I read from Tony Wood, I think, Philadelphia Inquirer. Isn't like one of Philadelphia's biggest snows in April, like in their top 5 or something? Does that ring a bell to you?
It does not ring a bell, but it would not shock me. I mean, there haven't been too many big snows. The one that comes to mind was April 6th of 1982. I'd have
All
to
right.
look. 1982, maybe. I don't think it was 83. I think it was
Okay.
82.
82. Okay. Yeah, I don't know.
And
I'm
that
looking on.
could have been 81 or 82, but I think it might have been 82.
Okay.
But
82.
that
I don't know.
was it was 50 degrees the day before, and there was blizzard conditions for part of that next afternoon. I was up in Northeast Jersey at that time, and had about 10 inches of snow and a lot of wind, and you would have sworn you were dead set in the middle of January.
It's always and the reason why I do like March snow, but only until March 17th. When the sun is out late, it's like 6:30, 7 p.m. and it's still snowing or the snow's on the ground and it's light. I'm like, this is cool. That's something you don't see every day, at least here in New Jersey.
I'm such a
Yeah.
snow freak. I remember one time trying out for Little League on like the 21st of March, and we had to go inside the armory for tryouts because it was snowing out. And I would shovel my parents' driveway and put the snow in the shadiest part by the driveway so the snow pile would last the longest. And I remember doing that, and it was like 7 at night, and it was still bright out. I guess might have been after daylight savings time began, which of course was later in the season. I can't
Right.
remember if it was ever in late March or all I remember it was into the evening, as you said,
Right.
and there I am shoveling snow to hold on to just a couple days longer for
Right.
that.
Yeah, I understand. I understand. I love seeing those ShopRite parking lots in like May with a little smidge of snow here. So, we'll talk a little bit about snow, but there wasn't much to talk about on that front. Let's just jump into temperatures. Generally, from what I see, it was warmer than average. That broke our streak of below average months. Pretty typical March stuff from my perspective. There were ups, there were downs, but there were more ups than downs.
Yeah, it's people were seeing the thermometer go up and down this month, and all they say, "Oh, what's going on here?" I said, "It's March." And then they go, "Yeah, I guess you're right." But yeah, we're going to end up the month with about 3 degrees, 3.5 degrees above normal, and it's almost cracking the top 10 for March warmth. It's going to be somewhere third mildest March going back 132 years. So a mild March, and people may say, well, I was cold over the weekend. Yep. And I was cold week before
Yeah.
that. But remember those 4 days early in the month when we were in the 70s, 80s. I mean, up here in my neck of the woods, we had we never saw the 60s for highs. We
Yeah.
went right from the 50s for highs to the upper 70s for highs before we finally had a few days with highs in the 60s. It just leapfrogged the
Right.
60s.
Yeah. We definitely sprung into spring. I mean, it did feel like that for sure. Like the
But
calendar.
fortunately, it tempered a little bit there for the next 2 weeks because things were going to start coming out too fast, and they would have made them more vulnerable to the freezes we've had in the past week when we've had temperatures down in the teens and the 20s. I mean, as recently as Sunday morning, Berkeley, our station at Miller Air Park in Berkeley Township in Ocean County, was down in the upper teens.
Yeah. It cool. I mean, it still cools off in the pines, but it warms up. You get those, that sun is strong now, right? I mean, we're on March 31st. Our sun is pretty much like March or September 10th ish in terms
Yeah.
of sun intensity. I mean, we think, we're not sure, but we think our, my father in law got sunburned on Saturday when it was like 45 degrees because your face, would just get burned by the sun, but it's still
No,
cold.
absolutely. And people don't realize that because it is cool and the wind's blowing and whatever. And they can really, get themselves pretty
Yeah.
uncomfortable if they're out there too
Yeah.
long.
Yeah. What I thought was interesting with these temperatures is that I don't have the exact numbers, but I'm pretty sure we pretty much broke the same amount of record warm temperatures this month that we did record cool temperatures the whole previous winter. Does that sound about right to you?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, the winter didn't break too many lows. I remember one time
No.
we were talking, Atlantic City had a record low
High temperature.
high, record
Yeah.
low high, but we didn't break a lot of cold records. I mean, again, the proof is in the pudding. We average what, 30 warmest, coldest winter of the last
Right.
132. That's pretty formidable. But then you go west of the Appalachians, and the whole rest of the country averages with the East. It was the second warmest winter on record for the lower 48 states. And that's
Right.
even with the East being below normal. That just
Yeah.
shows you how we were an anomaly this winter
Right.
here east of the Appalachians than most of the rest of the country. And that only got worse in the last 2 weeks when it was above 100 in
Well,
portions of the Southwest for days.
yeah, and this is a New Jersey weather and climate show, but from your oh my God, climatologist perspective, there we go. How unique slash rare was that heat we had in the desert Southwest? We know we broke monthly records, but a lot of them were broken in the middle of the month. Usually they're broken at the end of the month.
Well, I even read today that depending on what today is, San Francisco will set their record for the warmest March on record. And that will also be warmer than the warmest April on record. And it's tied right now for the warmest May on record.
Wow.
Now, that's San Francisco. It's in,
Climate's a little
whatever,
different there. Yeah.
a little bit different out there. But this dome of high pressure and the heat out there, the last time I saw anything like that in terms of unusual nature of it was the heat wave back in 2021 in the Pacific Northwest and Southwest Canada.
Yeah.
That was a late June into July heat dome, and that wasn't as broad geographically as this one, which went out into the Great Plains all the way out into the desert Southwest. So this one rivals that in my memory bank for just remarkably unusual. I mean, not just breaking records by a degree or two, but breaking records by 10 degrees and breaking them for multiple consecutive days.
Hmm.
So this was a rarity. Meanwhile, we were sitting,
Cold.
vacillating back and forth between a little below, a little above, and
Yeah.
overall, we're gonna come out above for this month.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty, just interesting how our memories, when we go back to the cold, we said this last month too. Oh, it was so cold and snowy. Sure. But we're already like more extreme this past month. And I don't think many people would say, oh, it was a hot March, right? Or it was a warm March. It just people would say, oh, yeah, it was March. So it's just, I think it just shows that we as a society, we like more of our warmer weather. And, as the climate continues to change, we're going to see more of that. So it's harder to get those extreme colds, easier to get those warmer temperatures, right? I mean, we've been, that's nothing new. Did you want to say anything about temperatures? I was going to move on. No, good.
No, move on, move
Yeah.
on, move
All
on.
right. Let's talk about precipitation. We kind of touched on the snow. There really wasn't much to speak of. The Jersey Shore had a couple of traces. We're going to talk about one particular event in a second, but precipitation wise, like a lot of times, it can sometimes vary depending on where you are, but the shore was pretty dry this March.
Talk about where you were. A totally different picture, North Jersey and South and coastal Jersey this month. I mean, I'm going to put on my glasses to read a couple
Here we
things.
go. All right, serious
For
now.
instance, the South, which is everywhere west of the Parkway, averaged 2.36 inches of rain this month. These are preliminary numbers, but you
Yeah,
get the
yeah, I got
ball. That's 1.9, and it ranks as the 20th driest March on record for South Jersey. And in the coast, a little bit more, 2.24, which is 2.18 inches below, and the 16th driest. Okay. Now look at the Northern Division, which is Hunterdon, Somerset, Union County, and North. 5.03 inches of rain,
Wow.
1.02 inches above normal, and the 29th wettest March on record, and the 104th driest. A totally different picture once you're in northern New Jersey, which was great for drought concerns up in the north. The reservoirs picked up 25% of capacity. They went from 50% full to 75+% full in the last 4 weeks or so, which is great up north. But down south, where it had been wetter, and coastal Jersey in particular was wetter, it's gotten pretty bone dry, which worries me with the fire season. We
Yeah.
saw fire. We're talking on the 1st. The 30th had a couple little fires along 95. I don't know. Today it's dry and it's windy. I haven't checked to see if there are any fires today.
I haven't not heard of any wildfires, but I do know what you're talking about.
But right
Yesterday.
now, it's not even just how much rain we get, it's how timely the rains are. Give me a half an inch of rain every 5 days, and we'll end the month below normal, but we'll have things moist enough on a continuous basis rather than give me all the rain for April on the 2nd of the month and then nothing for the next 3 weeks, because I guarantee we'll see fires. Last year, remember, Jones Road fire was in towards the 3rd to 4th week of April. Then we had a very wet May, thank goodness, our only
Yeah.
wet May. I mean, we're talking 20 of the last 23 months. New Jersey's had below normal precipitation.
And on that drought topic, or good.
No, if you want, you might want to talk drought monitor or whatever. I'll let you lead
Yeah,
it.
well, I was gonna say because I know I've seen over the past couple of weeks we have improved our drought status in like Cape May and Cumberland County, right?
Yes, but there's a but.
Yeah, go. I'm here for the butt. Tell me.
Well, we had gone to what we call D nada. In other words, not even abnormally dry, which is D0 in the national monitor, all the way inland, way past the Parkway inland. Little hint, this week's map, subject to final decision by the national author, but our little team here in Jersey recommended reinstitution of D0, abnormally dry, for all those areas that have been out of any dryness category. We ramped up D1, which is moderate drought, a little bit more in the southwest, but it was there already.
Mm-hmm.
It had improved in Cape May and portions of Cumberland County, and there's still a little bit of moderate drought. But if we don't get rain in the forecast, it's in the forecast, but if we don't see rain south of 195-ish area, I think next week you're going to see a lot of that D0 go to D1 simply because of the fire threat.
Okay. Yeah. And very precarious situation. And we're going to hope, we don't have what we had last April with that Jones Road fire.
Right. But
let's take
but,
good.
No,
Yeah,
go ahead.
30 seconds. That's fine.
Well, no, I'll just finish up by saying it is rare that you see such a large disparity between North and South Jersey over the course of the month. Yes, there are always differences, but this one is really pronounced.
Okay. Well, we'll see if it has any implications as we go into April. We're going to take our first break. We'll come back to you here with meteorologist Joe Martucci. Just because summer's gone doesn't mean your weather coverage ends either. Here at Cup of Joe Weather and Drone, we are Jersey Shore focused 24/7, 365. I live here, I care about here, and you care about here too. Throughout the season, we'll be talking about those beautiful winter days, those nasty nor'easters, and everything that comes with them. Rain, snow, wind, and for many of us, the biggest impact, the tidal flooding. We're covering the shore like nowhere else. And we'll be doing that for you all throughout the year with our daily weather videos, our frequent social media updates, and all of our videos on our website, where you can get a look at the current conditions across the area. And new for this season, our 24/7 live streaming weather channel, where we're covering the Jersey Shore all throughout the year. We are continuing our conversation about the month of March that was. Let's talk about precipitation here. You had some numbers within the counties here for us. Not too much of a difference, I think you were saying.
Yeah, not much of a difference up and down the coast in terms of rainfall totals or between the highest in the county or the lowest. We'll just look at the highest. Cape May County, Middle Township came in with 2.05 inches. Up in Atlantic, Egg Harbor Township topped out at 2.37. Brick had 2.65 up in Ocean, and then Neptune was 3.01. These are from our COCORAS volunteer citizen scientist observers. And on the low end, it was in the upper 1 to mid 2 range. So you don't have a large disparity between the highest and lowest or between north and the south. Everyone came in on the low end,
Yeah.
unfortunately, in the coastal counties.
Well, when you're also that much below average, probably not much of a difference between here and there
Yeah.
anyway. Okay. Anything else? You know what? Hold on. I want to get into this. Speaking of precip, let's talk about what happened on March 11th to the 12th. That was an interesting 24 hours. It was so warm. We were, well, on the 10th, we were in the 80s inland. Then it was the 70s on the 11th. And then we pretty much just fell temperatures all day long. A sweeping cold front came through, and then we had the snow. Now, as from a meteorologist perspective, I usually don't buy these events where front comes through and here comes some snow. It usually just doesn't happen. It doesn't change over. This did. Unfortunately, for the real weather geeks out there, it didn't accumulate snow. Otherwise, there would be some records to talk about. But it was a good switch of conditions in such a short period of time.
Yeah, the winner that day was Southwest Jersey, down Gloucester, Salem County, where they had up towards an inch.
Okay, they had accumulation there, but we should say at the reporting stations where you would. I don't think there were any that accumulated, right? Like ACY Airport, Philadelphia didn't. The major report, the climate stations, there wasn't.
I didn't pay attention. I just look at the COCORAS reports.
That's fine. You're a man of the COCORAS. Well, you are the
And there were a lot of those. And that was southeast Pennsylvania. It was central and northern Delaware. And even down towards D.C., they had some measurable snow. I mean, we're talking an inch or under. So,
Right.
I mean, we're
Not
splitting hairs a little bit here. But yeah, flakes did fly, but it was more in South Jersey than up in the north because we didn't get the moisture to North Jersey that accompanied the influx of cold air. Like you said, it's kind of unusual to have enough moisture left behind the cold front.
Yeah.
But yeah, what a weather whiplash.
Yeah, weather whiplash for sure. And the internet, the New Jersey internet was having a good time with dropping from spring to winter in just a matter of hours.
Yeah.
But that can be March too. That is March sometimes, as we know.
That is March.
Yeah.
Then you got one more event I know you want to talk about.
I did. Which one did I
The
want to talk about?
The front coming in was the 18th into the 19th.
Oh,
right.
where we got into the 20s at night?
No, that's when the winds picked up. That was a gust.
Yes.
The gust front that came through. Not much precip with that.
Yes, the gust. Yes, that was very windy there. Yeah, good.
Well, we had a gust of 62 at our Harvey Cedar station. I think Newark Airport gusted to 63. There were a bunch of power outages throughout the state. A lot of trees down, pulled down the power lines and such. And it was a very intense squall line that came through without much precipitation. But boy, and it straddled midnight. The west by the Delaware Valley, it was just before midnight. Didn't make it to the coast until, I guess, 12:30, 1 a.m. So some people slept through it. Others got rudely awakened. Others were still up at that time. But
that was also the day we had that tornado warning.
and there were 2 tornadoes. It was one down in Kent County, Delaware, and I think
Okay, yeah.
there's a separate one in, an eastern county of Maryland, just west of Delaware that evening. So,
There
yeah.
was. There's also a tornado warning in Ocean County.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
yeah,
night,
yes.
I awoke my Shawnee actually woke me up and said, "There's a tornado warning in Ocean County at midnight." I was like, so I jumped on live. I was live. I was sleeping 5 minutes before that. Then I jumped on live. Thankfully, no tornado in Ocean County, but I could tell by the number of people who were watching, there were people who were up, and thankfully they heeded the alarm for that. But yeah, it was super windy. That was part of that severe weather event that I don't want to say was a bust because there was a lot of winds, but it was more of a what we call a synoptic wind event. The winds were kind of howling all day long, but with the
Mhm.
front, to your point, it did get windier. But yeah, it was, it was super windy. I mean, we had no power in the morning before that front even came through.
Okay.
Did you lose power or did you have power?
Didn't have a flicker, and some people were mistaking blown transformers sparking through the night to lightning. I saw one of them, and I never heard thunder. One of our observers said it was thunder. Our assistant state climatologist, Matt Gerbush, saw greenness to it, which is transformers
Yeah.
exploding with
Yeah.
that. Well, I never got a confirmed certifiable. I didn't go looking at the numbers to see if there even was lightning associated with that front.
Um, I'm trying to think. I don't think there was. I don't remember any.
Yeah, there could
There
have been
might have been some south of Cape May, if I remember
perhaps,
correctly. I don't remember off the
perhaps,
top of my head.
but
But
to me, not many memorable events during the month.
yeah, no, not much. I mean, we had temperatures precip, the heat, the snow. We just talked about this event. We talked about drought. We talked about wildfire season. I mean, are we really done? I feel this is very unusual for
Oh,
us.
come on, we can talk. You've got listeners rolling their eyes like these guys can talk about the minuscule event,
We can
making
make
all
it
kinds.
happen.
Hey,
I
we're
don't
talking
know.
about during a break, we were talking about the sea breeze this afternoon.
Yeah, okay, let's talk about sea breezes.
Well, the
Third.
northern Yeah. Well, the northern coast, Seagert's last we looked at break, it was 81
Yeah.
and down, and it had gone from the sea breeze came in and what Harvey Cedars was in what 53.
Yeah, it was 53.
And they're both coastal. They're both right there at the coast. And it's just a matter of the angle of the wind. Jersey coast isn't north south. It goes north southwest to northeast and then south southwest and north northeast, and just a couple degrees difference in the wind direction can help to bring a sea breeze onshore or keep it offshore. And we're seeing that this afternoon with Monmouth County's not getting the breeze. Now they might in an hour for all we know, but the south and central coast is getting that sea breeze this
Yeah.
afternoon.
And typically at the coast, the Monmouth County beaches will stay warmer in those southwesterly wind setups that we have because that is a true land breeze. You have to if you're talking LBI on south, your warmest days at the beach are going to be when there is a west northwest wind. The issue
Mhm.
in March is that issue if you like warmth is west northwest is not bringing a warm wind in March. It will though as we get into the summer. Monmouth County beaches will stay warm also. Do we have a climatology of the shore during the summer? Like Monmouth County beaches got to be warmer than the rest of the shore if we're talking summer.
We don't have that definitive climatology.
Yeah.
And now with our stations, going right down the coast, we can get some Sandy Hook data from NOAA on occasion. But we've got stations along the ocean port, a little bit inland up in the north. And then you go down to Seagirt. We have one at Point Pleasant on a canal. Uh, and then you go down to Seaside Heights, Little Egg Harbor Township, Harvey Cedars,
Yeah.
AC Marina. And I wish we had a couple more to fill in some gaps there. And then you end up down in West Cape May and then up the bay in Fortescue and Little Egg, excuse me, up in Salem County at Lower Alloways Creek.
Lower always. Yeah. Yeah.
So we we have them along the coast, but I'd love to have more because it's so interesting, these variations and how climatologically they will differ with those wind directions. And less people think this is just two nerds talking about these sea breeze fronts. It makes a difference with power use, of course. You can have AC on inland and have the heat on at the coast, but it also has an air quality issue. When you get a sea breeze come in, that polluted air that was going to head out to sea gets recirculated back to the coast. And right along the sea breeze front, you can have unhealthy air. And with that, issues for people with pulmonary, with breathing difficulties. So it's not, and of course, it applies with insects as well.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Breeze can keep the bugs away from the
That's
beaches
right. That's
during
right.
the day. But there's a health issue to it as well. So this isn't just purely fun talk amongst the meteorology, climatology community. It's got some real world ramifications.
No. If you care about bugs on the beach while you're at the beach or the bay, you care about the sea breeze. I mean, it's as simple as that. I mean, and that's the deal. That's how you get those sea breeze to kick in the afternoon, those bugs go away, but the morning could be buggy depending on what's going on. And our hottest days at the beach are going to be our buggiest days at the
Yes,
beach too.
days. Yep, yep.
Unless you're in
And land.
Fortescue, then it's just buggy all the time in Fortescue.
Yeah, well, that's why we don't have sandy beaches along the Delaware coast. It's a lot of wetlands there, so they're saturated continuously.
Yeah, yeah. So maybe we could see if Avalon, one of my Surely Safe members, maybe they could put up a weather station for you.
Well, we're still looking to put in a few more. As I said, we're trying to get Island Beach Park to put in a station there,
That'd be
which is
nice.
near Seaside, but it would be a good station there. We'd like one, south of AC Marina, somewhere along the Cape May County, right on the water. The West Cape May station is a little inland near the lighthouse, so it's going to feel the southerly winds more than a sea breeze that you'd feel in Wildwood, for instance.
Yeah, yeah.
We would like to see a couple of more for research purposes, just for those health issues, and just because it's really neat.
It is. I love it.
It's
I know.
really neat to see what's going on. Just like we have a slew of stations in Northwest Jersey, because there we're dealing with elevation issues. Over the
Hmm.
weekend, the cold air came in, and it was the higher elevations that were colder on Saturday morning. High Point Monument up at the top of the ski area in Vernon. And then on Sunday morning, the cold air, the wind slackened and the cold air sank into the valleys. So it was 10 degrees colder down in the valleys in the upper teens, and up on the ridge tops, it was still cold, but milder than in
Right.
the valleys. So
Right.
that's why it's important a couple areas in New Jersey I would pick out to have the denser coverage, be right along the coast and points just inland up in the Northwest valleys. And then maybe we could use a few more in urban locations to really get a handle on urban heat
Yeah.
island.
Yeah.
We've got a micro network that we're trying to grab the data from. The school district in Newark has a number of stations on low rooftops. We've got the data. We just haven't had the opportunity to analyze it yet. We'll get a better feel for the urban heat island, what that fingerprint looks like within urban areas of Jersey.
Gotcha. All right. Well, if anybody's interested in having a New Jersey WeatherNet station, let him know. Maybe you guys can figure something out. Um,
Yeah.
I'm trying. I'm trying to go to bat for you. Trying.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. If people know a good location, but we're awfully particular where we want to put a
mm,
station because we need it to be well situated, well sited in terms of being able to measure wind
right.
with a comparative nature elsewhere and
Sure.
temperature.
Sure.
Precip, we have all the COCORAS observers, and even there, you have to be careful where you put your rain gauge.
Yeah. Yeah. All good things to be aware of. All right. Look at us. We got to a half hour. We filled it up. Go
You
us.
had
Okay.
any doubt, Joe? You had any
Well,
doubt?
I was doubting myself. You came through and said, "Hey, there's so much more to talk about." I said, "You're right. You're absolutely right. Let's talk about sea breezes." Okay, where could people follow more of what's going on with the Office of the New Jersey State Climatologist?
You look at njclimate.org. So njclimate, all one word, .org. Or if you want to go directly to our weather network of 70 stations, njweather.org.
Awesome.
I'll tease everyone. We're working on a new website that's going to be an amalgamation of both those sites, where you're going to be able to go from the last 5 minutes to the last century if you want to look at weather data.
Wow.
We've got a prototype under development, and I'm really excited about it. A lot of
Okay.
new
We may have
bells.
to, what we can do now with our new broadcasting thing that we use here, Riverside, you could actually share your screen and we could show, what's going on. So, all right, we'll keep that in mind whenever you're ready.
Stay tuned.
We will stay tuned. All right. We will be back with you at the end of April, early May. We'll recap April. Hopefully, no big wildfires to speak of, and plenty of rain also. We're going to hope for those two things this month. For Dr. Dave Robinson, I'm Joe Martucci. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching to the Monthly Weather Roundup. We'll talk with you soon.